Hello everybody, and welcome back to One Autistic Person. This is the third video in the 50 video series that I have planned, talking through the questions from the Autism Quotient questionnaire, which I've taken from in the Embrace Autism website, but is used generally as a pre-screening questionnaire as part of the beginning process of going through an autism assessment. So, like I say, this is question 3. So it is, if I try to imagine something, I find it very easy to create a picture in my mind. Now, this one is probably the first one where I kind of really want to say I would put it between slightly disagree and definitely disagree. So my thinking on that, the reason why I would put it between those two is that I don't agree that it depends on what it means. It's kind of a context thing. As I've said in other videos, it's kind of a context issue. So for me, I think I feel there are two ways of me processing information. There's my external way of processing it and my internal way of processing it. So what I'm going to do is talk about my internal processing first, which I feel like this relates to. But there is, I believe, a link to how I externally process information. So I internally see things either in words. So when I say in words, it's not like words running across my mind or anything like that. But I kind of see, if I'm thinking about something, I see sort of statements within a spider diagram that all come into the middle thing that I'm thinking of. So I'm visualizing this big process of things, but it's all words with kind of lines going towards a middle thought process. It's not a picture of something. I can't picture a house. So if you ask me to create something, imagine something in my mind. So if I try to imagine my house when I was younger, I kind of know where everything was, but I can't visualize it. I can't visualize where it was. I could kind of tell you where it was, but I can't actually visualize it in my head. But or the biggest thing for me as well, so that's a way of me thinking, but the biggest way is an internal monologue that is kind of not separate to my thinking. It isn't a separate thought process. It is not it's not my internal monologue being separate to my own monologue, but it is definitely a monologue that is not related to pictures. It's not related to further. I don't remember things in either. I remember things happened, but I don't remember them in a visual way, or at least I don't think I do. When I've talked to other people about how they visualize their memories, when I've talked to neurotypical friends how they visualize memories, they visualize them very clearly. And I also want to stress the fact that each individual person, the reason why this channel is called One Autistic Person is because I literally am one autistic person. Talking to my friend who is neurodivergent, he sees things very visually, and struggles on the opposite side of it. So it is each individual person's way of thinking. So for me, it really is weighting more towards definitely disagree, but I don't want to ever put on a question like this that it's definitely when it could be slightly, because I don't think I do visualize. I don't think I can easily. I certainly can't eat very easily. I find it very easy to create a picture in my mind. So that's assuming that people do find it really easy to build that picture in their mind somewhere. The reason why the question exists must be because people do. Really don't. But on the flip side of that, my external process for learning and for putting something forward to people is that I need to be visual in that. So when I'm being trained, should I say, when I'm being trained, I need visuals as well as just either spoken word or written stuff. So at the moment I'm doing a counselling course, and that counselling course very clearly is just written word. They obviously encourage you to look externally, so I don't really look externally for written stuff, because I feel like reading 20 pages of a PDF is enough for me that's so much information for me to be taking on. So what I'll tend to do is break the paragraph up and go, right, this is talking about this thing, let me research that and let me start find some visuals for it. And it's the same when I'm training at work. I need people to show me visuals. I need there to be, as part of the training, for there to be slides that have visual bits of information that's not necessarily the most complex of things. It's just that it needs to be something that relates to it. So if you're talking about a house, for instance, if you were giving me a description of a house or explaining foundation building or whatever, you were talking about something to do with housing, and you put a house next to it, I'm more likely to remember that. But then I was thinking, but I don't remember the house. I don't remember, I can't remember what the picture of the house would look like. But I think the link is just made for me that there's like this visual thing here that I can see, and then I can remember what that thing was talking about much easier. So yeah, internally it's very monologue-y, it's very wordy, it's very statementy, very methodically this, and quite linear, I suppose, as well. So if I was thinking about a person, I think, well, that person has brown hair, has blue eyes, wears these kind of clothes, talks this kind of way, but I wouldn't be able to visualize it myself. I'm like, I've remembered everything in a statement, like if somebody was giving a statement to me and you're telling me something about what had happened or what this person was like, it's like somebody's told me what that person's like, and I'm remembering that statement rather than remembering the actual person. I don't even, if you ask me to describe what my mum might look like, apart from saying brown hair, green eyes, and 5 foot, just under 5 foot, I can't really tell you anything else about my mum. So I've known my mum all my life, and so it's very, very complex. So yeah, I think it's really interesting that now I've looked at this question in more depth, is that the external need for stimulation with visuals as well as words, but internally I've got a monologue and just words really that I'm dealing with that, so, or I'm thinking about with that. So I do wonder whether the reason why I so heavily need visual. So again, for instance, something I will do is, as a regional manager, I have shops where I sometimes have to do a shop refit and then have to do layout. So I'll look at figures first, and then I will have to draw and create. I'll use the Sims to create the shop. I'll use other tools that I have to be able to do it. Use Canva, that type of thing, to create visuals for myself, because I cannot go, that's what that will look like. I have to put what it may look like, and it will often change, because as I'm looking at the visuals there, it will change. But I'll look at the space that I need to put to something, and I will make sure that space is allocated to it. But then the actual visuals of how that shop's going to look will be very much, it needs to be something I create. Like I say, quite often use the Sims to be able to get that process done for me. Once I have got the floor plans that are there from somebody else, or I've drawn while I'm there in the shop. So I think I need the visuals because of the fact, when it comes to training and it comes to sort of communicating to other people, I think I need those visuals because my brain, when it is internally processing, doesn't have any visuals. So it needs to be stimulated into thinking about things from a visual perspective for it to put context to it. Otherwise it's a very dry thought process. It doesn't have any substance to it, I suppose. So it's very complex. I'll have loads of information for you, but I will probably have missed some quite big things if I've not seen things and I've not had visualizations. I've not had things that relate to that subject visually within complex, large documents, especially, or long in a training session. If somebody's just talked at me and there's nothing else for me to take from it, then I'm not going to remember what you said. So yeah, really hope that people enjoy these videos. They're not here to help people to answer the question as part of the Autism Quotient per se. They're more for me to be asking this question to myself and sort of giving people context to things, and hopefully opening up a conversation around changing this deficit thought process when it comes to the diagnosis and then the later living with. I hate saying that. It's not living with. Being autistic. So the acceptance and the understanding of yourself to understand this and start seeing it as a positive, because I really want us to really see it as positives, benefits, not deficits. So thank you very much. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you'd like to comment, subscribe, do all of those things, the more comments the better, because I'd really love to see this become a little bit of a community for people to talk in a positive way, to talk about how they would see things as a benefit rather than a deficit. I'd really like to start having those communications if people want to. Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.